first dive, the great rotation that came through, and really have to hand it for King to focusing that area of the map.
Yeah, and you have to hand it to Stalin Royal Club to identify the fact that MLXG went off on the Rengar in the last game, and it is going to be banned away in the second round here. Of course, Cho'Gath going to join him. Assassin not going to be picking up that one, and LeBlanc and that Jan are going to hit the bench as well, and we'll see what Starhorn Royal Club decide to ban away for their last option here. Of course, switching sides of the Rift this time, so first pick potential is available now for Royal Club, and we'll see what they decide to put their priority on.
Yeah, last time they banned the Thresh, this time going with the Rek'Sai, so really focusing MLXG out here means that the first pick Thresh 4-0 is available. They had a good lane in Leona Corki and were able to get a good gank through from Insect, but from there, Wushin really did take over, and you see Thresh being taken away now on King's side, putting a lot of onus on that, and Korn having a look at the Ahri.
Yeah, Ahri almost rising in popularity since 5.4 has hit. Has seen a few nerfs, but still very, very strong. And Assassin's Ahri was just so good in that last game. MLXG immediately locks in his Lee Sin.
Yeah, so the last one of MLXG's really good champions up is the Lee Sin, so happy to take that one away. Sure, he would have preferred a repeat performance on Rengar, and see whether they go the similar Lulu lane, look to bully out Godlike again.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it will be the case because Godlike not going to get that tree anymore. And it is going to be Maokai locked in for Sky.
Yeah, so Sky taking that one away, and have to think with how poorly last game went for Godlike, maybe look to return the favor. We've talked about how he used to play Lulu. We've spoken about his Renekton. He has some lane bullies up there, so what's he going to, I guess, bring into the fray?
Yeah, not entirely sure. Of course, Godlike was a fantastic Lulu player, and with the likes of Name on your team, can definitely boost up the power of anything that he's going to be playing. But hovering over some interesting picks at this stage. Korn, see what he does decide to go with, and it looks like it's going to be Morgana and the Rumble here for Godlike. So burning down the trees in the top lane, of course, the obvious counter.
Yeah, so Rumble is fairly good against the Maokai. Pretty easy lane for Rumble to be able to survive in. With that shield, if timed correctly, can get rid of a lot of the harass that comes through. Sky will be completely fine. This Flame Spitter just activates your passive so often that you're just able to sustain through the lane, but Rumble will have a good team fight presence for the level 6 and level 11 dragons that generally come out of Starhorn Royal Club, so I like the pickup. The Morgana support, a little bit more confusing for me. I think it is because of the fact that there is a Maokai being picked up in the top lane, need to be able to shrug off a lot of that that CC that will come through, and Black Shield will definitely help out on that late game, but it has allowed Woosh to pick up, once again, his Kalista.
Yeah, and it's going to be Lamb on the Braum here at the same time. Insect thinking about a Nunu, and this could mean a sort of gigantic Name situation, and you can see on his face they're wondering what he wants to be picking up, and they're thinking about some sort of pseudo-Juggermore situation.
Yeah, so it's just a Cogmore. It's
absolutely
so nothing like a Juggermore. They've got a Rumble in the top lane, Ahri in the mid lane.
Hey,
so
there's a Black Shield and a Blood Boil, okay? There's augmentation going on.
I guarantee if Name is at the front of any of these team fights, he dies in 2 seconds.
Okay. That is actually a very good point.
Yeah, so Wushin, we complimented the fact that Wushin and Liam's lane looked very good because of the ability to be able to proc both sides of that passive that comes through from the Sentinel. Doing that percentage health damage with Braum will be a lot more difficult this time around to be able to do that. However, if Braum ever does manage to land that Winter's Bite, with how Woosh does like to harass in lane, could put out a lot of damage coming through there. So up to 0 to be able to time the Black Shields, be able to get in there and stop all of the CC that will try and come through. And it's actually the Zed into Ahri matchup being opted into by Assassin.
Yeah, it's an interesting pickup. You can use the Death Mark in order to juke out of the way of sort of the only CC available from Korn, but so hard to lock down is an Ahri. And Assassin, I mean, it's his namesake. He's able to do it, but might need to rely on some roaming.
So I like the fact that you brought that up, because when a lot of Ahri's power was on the charm, that's why we saw a lot of Zed being picked up, because you dodged that one skill shot and the ability to 100 per 0 was greatly reduced.
Yeah.
Now with a lot of the power transferred over onto the W, much harder to dodge out with that Death Mark. So it is a little bit further in Ahri's favor nowadays, but still see it very often as that skill matchup.
Yeah, so I can safely say skill matchup.
This one you can, yes.
Yes, feeling good, feeling fantastic. And both of these champions able to sort of dance around here as well, so it would be exciting to see what actually eventuates here in the mid lane. Of course, Assassin is a fantastic Z player in his own right, but we haven't seen too much of it just recently. There's Name and Wushin both opting for some very late game type carries coming through, and of course, Name, you put him on someone that can scale so beautifully. You got to be scared if you're a King member.
Yeah, it certainly does look like it will be a very interesting bottom lane coming through here. We saw Morgana a lot for the Braum counter, just gets rid of a lot of what he's trying to do in the kit, but in a 2v2 lane, haven't really seen... Kog'Maw's a strange champion because can bully with that W as well as the Sheen that can come through, and I really do like the way that Kog'Maw lanes as a champion, but has a very expensive build, does need that 3 item to really become the hyper carry in the late game.
Well, let's see if he can as we hop onto the Rift. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with Starhorn Royal Club taking on King for Game 2 of our final day of this week of the LPL. And Royal Club already with a 5-man stack making their way towards the King jungle. Yeah,
and they're able to pick up the exact same ward, get rid of that one. Wonder how long it's going to be until teams drop the ward a little bit further away from the advancing team. So it doesn't get taken out, but it doesn't really matter. They spot all the members coming through here and will be able to get the mirrored deep wards that Starhorn Royal Club went for last game.
This is exactly the same start, but with different teams.
It's actually not.
Is it?
No, King left their mid laner in the middle lane and went with 4 members. Royal Club went with all 5. So a variation of a similar start coming through.
I apologize. Didn't notice the pixel sharing that was going on as far as that mini-map was concerned. But still, going to be the same result nonetheless. Going to be able to spot out any potential lane swaps that are going to be coming through. But yet again, you have to think that Royal Club probably just happy to go into this 2v2.
Yeah, Royal Club will be happy with a 2v2 lane. Rumble and Maokai both do fine in a 2v1, so it doesn't really hurt either team if they really do it. I guess the real beneficiary of that would be it would free up Insect to do a lot more counter jungling if he was able to get in there. Maybe try and get in the face of MLXG, take away some camps and really become a nuisance. But Insect's there just to be able to, I guess, augment this Kog'Maw late game and try and provide some control in the early game.
Yeah, we'll see what Insect's sort of power is going to be on this map. We saw Clearlove doing some fantastic things on the Nunu. Of course, Beast has been a brilliant Nunu player throughout the LPL for Snake here as well, but haven't seen Insect's Nunu for quite some time.
Yeah, definitely haven't seen it come through, and we take a look at the bottom lane. Zero disliking something that minion said to him, so binding it up, making sure it can't come anywhere near his AD carry. Back off.
Yeah, exactly. Don't you dare aggro my little void puppy, as King's actually going to find corner here in the mid lane. MLXG paying a visit very early on, actually before, a bit of a drive-by towards his blue buff, and he's actually heading towards the bottom side. MLXG so aggressive early on. Lamb actually might be able to proc his passive here onto Zero in the bottom lane. Exhaust being forced out. Does still have the rend available to tear out these spears onto Zero. There's a Sonic Wave. Resonating Strike picks that one up. A Cathian surprise trying to kill Zero there for a second, but decides that instead he wants to focus the enemy team.
Yeah, it was extremely close, but they ate 2 Winter's Bites coming through from Braum, and that just meant that all the CC was available. We mentioned that the passive wouldn't be there, but the way that Callista likes to fight means that as soon as that passive goes down with the slow, she's just going to be able to continually harass Name. Tried to return the favor, but ends up giving up first blood and a huge CS discrepancy as well.
Yeah, and again, the bottom lane for King playing far better than we were expecting coming into this matchup. But of course, Kog'Maw not as strong in the early stages. Flash forced immediately. That's a beautiful charm onto Assassin in the mid lane. Foxfire secures the kill here as well as Insect comes through for a hand. Another Winter's Bite going to land Unbreakable, helping out the King bottom lane who haven't been back to base yet. And finally, MLXG going to take down his blue buff, but nice play coming through from Royal Club to answer that first blood.
Yeah, and that was a bad mistake coming out of Assassin. Actually used his shadow aggressively with outside of the jungler. That's something that you really can't afford to do against someone like a Nunu, because Nunu chases through flashes extremely well. As long as that first snowball goes off, able to reclose the distance with red buff and snowball, just reapply slow after slow, really does become hard as a melee to get away from it. So like what Insect was doing with the early gank, but it was due to a little bit of an overplay in the mid lane.
Yeah, a little bit overexcited. But that being said, Assassin able to pick up another long sword. Of course, as Zed, you want to have as many swords as you possibly can and not going to suffer too much in the CS.
Yeah, certainly didn't lose much in terms of lane control. However, just giving up a kill over to the Ari means that she was able to get a free back in her own right and comes back with a fiendish codex. So will be a little bit stronger than otherwise should be in this matchup.
Yeah, and we've just seen, especially coming through from Assassin, that Ari just an incredibly powerful pick at this stage.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Seacorn, last hitting very nicely under the turret, will also be able to get a ward down. So trying to spot out exactly where the jungle is. Got ganked very early by MLXG and is running a little bit here.
Yeah, of course, Ari does have a little bit more mana that she has to spend on that Q since the change, but probably going to be okay. He does have some biscuits in Korn's back pocket in order to keep him okay.
Yeah, so we see just farming coming out in the mid lane. MLXG actually deciding to sweep that green ward coming through. So a lot of pressure this time around being put on the middle lane, trying to get Assassin going on Zed, and leaving bottom lane after that very nice first game to just continue to bully the Kog'Maw.
Yeah, and already able to get those Rens out, of course, able to reset it on the minion and still get some extra harass through onto this Kog'Maw at the same time. Insec immediately going to find that pink ward. That is such a bad feeling when you just put it down and the jungler just turns up. The Raptor buff tells him that it's there, and it's just really, really annoying.
Yeah, and Insec, very high level after he must have helped push out that mid lane. Level 5 at 6 minutes through for a jungler. Will be looking to, I guess, get aggressive. Actually sees a ward over the back of the Dragon Pit. MLXG was trying to go for something nice there, but wasn't able to pull it off. And Insec picks up the Sentinel gold as well. Great feeling, grabbing a ward, grabbing a Sentinel.
Well, might even be able to pick up another pink ward here at the same time as he smites away this one and just throws a snowball at the Rift Scuttler and secures some vision here as well for the next 75 seconds or so. King still with a little bit of a gold lead as far as that first blood was concerned, but nothing to really write home about at this stage. But if we're looking at sort of super late game team fights, does Kog'Maw still just scale better here? As Assassin actually going to go very aggressive on a Korn. Nice work juking around with that death mark, but it's going to proc for not too much damage. Didn't manage to answer with too much as MLXG only level 4. Going to get hit by that snowball. Korn very low on mana though, so he's going to have to be very careful.
Yeah, certainly is a little bit low on mana, and you saw Insec, he's actually maxing that snowball, so was doing a little damage as he pops another one over the wall.
Yeah, does have to be a little bit careful, of course, running low on mana just a little bit. Hasn't been able to auto-attack as many creeps as he otherwise would have liked. But MLXG, he's still hanging around. He's going for an extremely ganking style on this Lee Sin this game.
Yeah, he certainly is, and so far has been relatively ineffective. Burnt the Korn flash, of course, and was able to get into the bottom lane for the pick of the kill, but you really have to say that was manufactured by Whoosh and Liam. Really didn't have much to do with MLXG, and that's the real discrepancy we're seeing at the moment. Insec being able to farm up, get a little bit further ahead in terms of level, and MLXG really going for that farm, the gank-heavy style that we're seeing out of a couple of Lee Sin players now this weekend.
Yeah, still managing to get a bit of farm here as well. I mean, he's only down by about 5 jungle creeps. It's a couple of camps, something like that. Nothing to really write home about, especially when you consider the fact that Insec was helping push that mid-wave. But I think you're exactly right. The fact that Insec, he's just able to get these levels and now has that absolute 0 available before MLXG has got towards that kick. And as soon as this Nunu gets tanky, I mean, we saw it out of Clear Love. It's just so difficult. You can just create these tower dives so easily.
Yeah, well, all of a sudden, CC that is hard to land. I'm talking about the Morgana binding with Charm. As soon as you have that snowball on the absolute 0, just all the slow that comes out makes it so much easier to facilitate follow-up CC. And that's what really Nunu was about in this team comp, as Name once again being aggressed on.
Yeah, Lamb actually coming through with that Unbreakable does soak up the Dark Binding here as well. Name just going to keep throwing out some auto attacks here just to try and thin this wave just a little bit, but it is going to crash into the turret effectively from King, and we'll see whether they move around and try and maybe get some dragon pressure down. But you can see already, 0. A lot of wards around this bottom side. MLXG has now focused towards the top as MLXG... Oh, actually, there's the flash forward from Sky. Deathmark onto Godlike. Assassin just wants to pick himself up a casual kill. Heads back to his shadow, and it's all in a daze.
Yeah, but 2 flashes burnt there. Assassins and Sky was returned, I guess, by Godlikes, but that will mean the first dragon of the game will be picked up by Starho and Royal Club because Insec on this Nunu just able to burn through it.
Yeah, he's going to be able to eat this dragon very, very quickly. Does have his side stone already completed here at the same time. But King, you saw in the last game, they weren't too worried about losing a couple of dragons early.
Yeah, they certainly weren't, but that was in regards to swapping them for objectives. This one was only a kill, and they committed a lot to it. So have to say, probably in the favor of Royal Club. They might even grab themselves a blue here as well, and the answer is a return gank top by all 3 members.
Yeah, everyone heading back there, of course. Southern Royal Club probably not going to expect it, but the Twisted Advance has come through there as well. The knockback to come down as MLXG has hit level 6, just kicks Godlike into the wall. Nice Sonic Wave, and they didn't even really need Assassin. Rumble is hilarious on this climb.
Yeah, and we actually see in response a 4-man dive potentially coming into the bottom lane. Great setup damage coming out, and Insect going to be able to grab a 2-man absolute zero.
Yeah, there it is. Korn, the easiest charm of his life could potentially come through. Does manage to land it in the end as Liam now just going to fall down. You have to think. Does manage to stand beside me to one of the minions, but only prolongs the inevitable as Insect takes a lot of damage, but Korn gets the double.
So that's the danger of focusing one turret, especially when Godlike was pushing the wave out aggressively. They lose the exact same members and 2 objectives in response. This turret should fall down if Starhorn Royal Club want to. Looks like they might try and push in now, and that's horrible news for King. They look like they were making the plays, but in response, there's a 3-0-0 Ari, and MLXG was a beneficiary of both the plays.
Yeah, getting at least in ahead has actually worked out against some teams as well, making sure, you know, that the gold doesn't go into the scaling
for it
champion.
again.
Oh my gosh. What is this about, King? What has he done to you?
All 3 members one more time, but this time it looks like Royal Club have the read. They've got Zero in support. They've got Insect coming up. Can they stop the dive?
Yeah, Dark Binding actually does land here as well as the turret goes over to MLXG. That is the wrong move. Godlike again going to fall down, but King now in a lot of trouble as Assassin. He's going to fall, and you can't do it 3 times in a row, boys. They're obviously going to work out the pattern.
Yeah, they certainly did, and now you have the horrible job of running away from a max snowball Nunu, which is just impossible, and we see Sky was going absolutely nowhere, probably going to be a 4-0-0 Korn, and he's able to pick it up, and that's bad news. Rumble, fantastic with no resources. Ari, with resources, absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, there's actually going to be the ultimate coming through here as the Winter's Bite casually dodged out of the way from Name. Beautiful play. Fate's Call not going to be enough here for King.
And he actually traded back very well. Half health, both people going onto him, and now still following up the damage.
Yeah, it almost has that Trinity Force completed on this Kog'Maw as well. Name having a great game. And King, I don't know what Godlike did to them.
Well, they saw last game that when they got Godlike behind, they had a lot of success with Sky in these team fights, looking to continue that trend as we see Pink Ward going to spot out that green ward. At least it gives vision of where exactly the green ward is, and Zero now closing in on that one. So he'll be able to pick that up, and Godlike now realized that everyone wants to visit his lane. He's trying to do the same thing, but has been spotted out.
Yeah, he's just sharing some pineapples with the bottom side of the map here on this Rumble, and doesn't want to head back towards that top side because of the bad memories that it entails. Understandable here as well as Royal Club looking to push out some more waves. And what's the focus for Royal Club now at this stage of the game? Do they need to take down turrets and start pushing through, or do they just want to stall it out? They're happy just to lane forever.
Dragon is their objective. You've got a Nunu, you've got a Rumble, and really nice bind landing.
Yeah, there's the Soul Shackles as well. Assassin going to use the Death Mark, but gets stunned afterwards, and the last auto attack easily locks it down for Name.
Yeah, and wow, Starhorn Royal Club beating King around the map this time around. They are playing a little bit more of an aggressive style with that Blood Boil up, going to be able to get Name onto the turret. Will tear through them at this point in the game as well with that Phage, with that Zeal. Very good turret pushing coming through, and they're able to pick another one up. 2 minutes until Dragon, they'll get a free buy, and that's the Trinity Force Atlas at 14 minute, if you're going to be a little bit negative. Trinity Force onto a Kog'Maw. That's very good news.
Yeah, fantastic buy timing here as well. Is down by 20 CS due to that roam, and Wushin is going to be able to pick up that Bloodthirster relatively quickly, but Kog'Maw, I mean, we talk about Callista's scaling so great into the late game, la-di-da-di-da. Kog'Maw is just ridiculous. With
Ooh, MLXG.
Oh my gosh.
He can't. Zero must know he's in there because of his ultimate. I don't know how he doesn't understand.
Oh, was that actually the kick coming through? It was. Zero didn't get kicked back, though. Beautiful Dark Binding. I mean, Black Shield, one of those items. They're all a little bit
One of those
dark.
items.
They're items? It's a struggle today, Spawn.
That's all right, buddy. And I even pointed out he has to know because the Soul Shackle's lighting up, and it's on cooldown, of course, because it was just used, so that's why that one wasn't coming through. And Korn able to pick up his blue buff. Insec handing that one over. 1-0 on 4. Insec's been very active around this map so far on Nunu, so having a great game. Hadn't necessarily seen it out of him. In 40 seconds, King doing the right thing, trying to sweep out wards around this dragon area. But how do you fight against a mid-game Ahri who's so accelerated? The Rumble, who's got the double pen items, as well as a Nunu who's just so good at securing these objectives, is going to be a very difficult task.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, Assassin now has died 3 times this game as well. It's a nice focus coming through from Royal Club, knowing that if this Zed gets out of control, can just delete Name and leave the fight almost unscathed. Very similar to the playstyle of an Ahri, you have to think. And the split push now begins here for Assassin. And is this the answer for King? Do they want to just be split pushing with Assassin for as much of the game as possible?
They can split push, but not... sorry, Ahri is a pretty good split pusher in her own right. Very hard to dive her, and will be able to wave clear extremely well. Not an offensive split pusher, but can defend turrets. And you have to think, in a late game team fight, Ahri might even be a little bit more useful than what the Zed will be if played correctly.
Well, we'll have to see how it develops as it comes through, of course. The gold lead is slipping back towards that 2,000 mark. Royal Club now going for their second dragon of the game. Seemingly uncontested. They're going to be able to pick up the top outer turret. There's full vision here available from King, but they're not just going to watch it die.
Yeah, so no contest coming through. Don't want to go anywhere near the mid-game Cogmore. We see...
I worked it out. It was because they saw Godlike on the map. So they have to go over there and kill him if they can. Yeah,
tried to pressure the turret there, and Godlike, he's got a little bit of a freeze on now. He's going to push it out with that Flame Spitter, and he's picked up actually the completed item there. Sorry, Leandri's Torment. Cannot remember the name of it for my life. So able to grab that one first up. Very gold efficient item coming through. Looks like he might even be going for Zhonya's Hourglass as his next item, and they ping out a ward there. Seeing the reaction that came through from Sky as Insect came flying through into that jungle.
And is this Leandri's Torment pickup just a little bit because he's behind, sort of wants to make sure that Equalizer's doing as much as he can?
Yeah, exactly right. So it's a very Equalizer-centric build. Also, I guess, supplements the damage that comes out of the harpoons, and just good... It's going to be useful late game, has a very easy build path apart as opposed to Zhonya's Hourglass, which requires you to get a needlessly large rod.
Yeah.
So being able to just pick up another Amp Tome, move into a smooth transition of item, really does help out when Rumble is being held behind, flattens out the item build a lot, gives you some free slots to be able to pick up some extra wards, some extra potions, just a little bit easier to obtain when you're behind.
Yeah, we can talk to Korn about which one of the flat ability power items he likes the most. Of course, has one of each in his back pocket at this stage, if you're talking about items that only provide ability power. I have a feeling it's probably the
Yeah. I'm a fan of the needlessly large rod as well myself.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good item.
I like books. You know, I'm always happy when I get my Christmas present from my grandma.
And we see a little bit of a lull. All outer turrets have fallen in the bottom and mid lane for Royal Club. Haven't yet gone into that top lane. And they're looking to siege up mid. Need to be careful here. Zed has got a flank, and Assassin might be looking to get onto Name. But Name just able to sit there and hit the turret. Take it down to about a 3/4 health.
Yeah, Wushin, though, does have a fair bit of wave clear here as well now that that Hurricane has been completed. Assassin decides to not make any moves. He's going to head towards the top lane here as well. As Royal Club now going to pressure forward, of course. No problem sieging a turret with Name with that Bioarcane Barrage. Has a whole lot of range.
They might even look to dive here. There's only 3 members, and Zed really is a threat. They need to back away. They might still keep going.
Yeah, it's going to take down this turret more than easily. Is it going to be Royal Club backing off? Yes, it is. I thought that they might have even gone for the inhibitor turret there.
Yeah, it certainly looked like they had the ability to do so. MLXG chose to take his red buff instead, and they sent Assassin to try and split push, and now they'll just move around. Assassin gets absolutely nothing for it. They're going to send Korn down there to deal with that one, and Godlike picking up some much-needed CS and free experience.
Man, King are making sort of, I don't know, plays that look like they're on purpose, but they're just not good.
and we see they've actually allowed that big minion wave to crash into the turret. So they have denied a lot of CS over from Korn, and they've got a good flank now. We'll look to see if they choose to dive this turret. Name is off picking up the red buff, so it might be Starhorn's turn to just cede control over an objective.
Yeah, Name is going to be able to pick up that red buff here as well, so we're going to have a whole lot more of that slow availability, and Assassin going to get caught by the Dark Binding. There's the Soul Shackles as well. Insect with a nice absolute zero. Assassin going to try and go into Name, but just gets destroyed from that. There's the equalizer, not doing a whole lot, but it solidifies the win for Starhorn Royal Club, and 3 members dead for nothing for Starhorn. Going to mean a potential Baron.
Yeah, so Baron is the objective. They're looking at 5 seconds until that spawns for the first time, and Royal Club in the pit going to start it up.
Yeah, and of course, Nami with that Bioarcane Barrage does a whole lot of % health damage. You can see already poking out MLXG off the backside. This Baron not going down too quickly, but with Leandries and, of course, that Kog'Maw, they do a whole lot of % health damage for this stage of the game. Sky coming through here as well. He's going to flash over. There's the Vengeful Maelstrom as well. Lots of damage coming through. The exhaust actually onto the tree, of course, does just so much work. MLXG comes through, steals the Baron. No problem at all. How do you do that against a Nunu?
Yeah, so I think Insect actually might have even been there. No, he wasn't. We see him use the Consume. Might have just been on cooldown, and fantastic heads-up play from MLXG, giving the game back to his team. You think that if Royal Club got that Baron, another couple of 1,000 gold in the lead, because you have to remember the swing of King being able to pick that one up. Might have nearly even been Game Atlas, but hurling it back.
Yeah, and being able to pick up a whole lot of pushing advantage here as well. Of course, every member of Royal Club had to head back to base. So outer turret there in the mid lane going to go down. Wishing going to utilize the fact that that back is going to be a whole lot quicker, and Korn going to pick up his blue buff here as a consolation. But man, you have to think King going to be feeling pretty good, like they've got a whole new lease of life in this game.
Yeah, well, they must be, I guess, breathing a big sigh of relief. Both games now, MLXG's bailed King out of horrible positioning. First with his Rengar play that really got the game back in their favor, and now with this Lee Sin stealing Godlike being aggressed on.
Yep, once more the aggression now onto Godlike, just going to explode from that death mark, and Liam can't defend those turret shots too much, but he is going to be okay. The rest of the members of Royal Club are heading down. Zero might be caught out here just a little bit. Black Shield going to stop him from getting kicked as Name and Insect do come around. Nice safeguard to get MLXG out of the way, and King, they are going to have to leave. Stand behind me, going to help Liam get out of there. And they've got a lot of dancing around ability on this King lineup.
Yeah, they certainly do. They're able to escape, and we see in the bottom lane, they're just going to get some more farm over onto Name. Want him to be able to pick up that Blade of the Ruined King. That's the next meaningful item coming through, and maybe setting up for another Dragon. MLXG, take 2.
Yep, they are going to be able to get their 3rd here at the same time. It's just all too easy here for Royal Club. Insect able to find his smite button for that particular objective. Bottom side of the map's where he feels more comfortable. But Godlike does find some more farm around here, but Roosh looked like he was potentially coming top, and I was thinking Godlike might have even more of a bad time.
Yeah, so 0, 4, and 5. Godlike continues to be the player picked on in this game. 5 kills for King, and 4 of them onto that top lane. Has really been a recurrent theme here, and Korn have to complement the aggressive build. Gone for the needlessly large rod. Adds, Rabbiden's Death Cap, sorry, adds a lot of wave clear in this split pushing scenario. However, will be dangerous to live against Assassin Zed. Doesn't have that Zhonya's Hourglass stasis that he can go into block out a lot of that damage.
Yeah, and I guess it's because, do you think it's because there's going to be more of a split push focus here for both of these solo laners? They're not going to be going sort of 1 for 1 because sort of this laning phase has sort of been stopped at this stage?
Yeah, I think he's just using his wave clear, and then he's looking to get away from the Zed as opposed to try and kill him. So just trying to neutralize, has picked up a lot more CS, and in the team fights, of course, if he does manage to catch anyone, that is a heck of a lot of damage on a mid-game RE going to be coming through.
Yeah, of course, but on the other side, Assassin has finished off that last Whisper, does sort of have those 2 armor penetration items that he wants, and of course that ever-important Blade of the Ruined King here for Zed. I am going to block away that Ice Blast. And
in the top lane, Sky going extremely low, being taken down by Name, and now the push coming through from Royal Club. They'll be able to pressure the next turret here. Might even be uncontestable by King, because they don't have that big tanky frontliner.
They also don't have their Zed here at the same time. Name with a whole lot of damage. The outer turret's going to be answered for on that bottom lane, but that is nowhere near the importance of the inner turret that is now potentially transitioning into this inhibitor turret in the top side of the map. It is going to be the back to come through. 10 seconds now on Sky, and they might be able to start something up as Whoosh is going to walk into that living artillery. Lamb trying his very best to try and defend out this turret. Wushin gets caught by a charm there, actually. Absolute zero to come through. Wushin not going to take too much damage from that, and Insect probably going for more of a, I don't know, deterrence players. Sky's actually going to find his way in and out the backside here as well. There's the kick coming through onto Korn. 3 members knocked up. Nice Glacial Fissure to come down as well as Korn. He's going to get ultimated and he's going to die immediately. Sky going to take that one down. The knockups coming through left, right, and center. Whoosh is tearing through members in this fight. It is going to be Godlike falling down. Zero. Is he going to die? MLXG, the hero. Does he have it? Does he have the Sonic Wave? Not this time.
Yeah, certainly still going, though, and see if he can get it. No, Zero able to land the Dark Binding, but that's a bad team fight out of Starhorn. They're very far ahead in terms of where they should be at this part of the game, but Wushin's fantastic team fight positioning, as well as the fact that Assassin got onto Ari and there's still no Zhonya's Hourglass, which is what we hit on last time, means that they'll even be able to push in, maybe pick themselves up a mid lane turret.
Yeah, everyone is going to be respawning on the side of Royal Club. A minute and a half until that Baron does respawn. Of course, Dragon has more recently gone down, so that one's not going to be available for the taking. But King, they're going to be happy with the inner turret. And
they got 2 inner turrets.
So even.
They got 2 inner turrets, a 1 team fight off the back of that. All through just very good split pushing, understanding when they could fight. So really big credit to King. They've got the game back to even after what looked like Starhorn going to be able to run away with it. And now Starhorn need to play a little bit more conservative. They thought that they were ahead of where they were. Now the game's starting to fall back against them, and King still have a better mid-game lineup.
Well, that's the thing, but as we're moving towards the later stages of the game, this is where King's looking better and better. I mean, that Dragon Rage kick from MLXG knocked up 3 members. The Glacial Fissure was then incredible in that fight as well. Was that just sort of an example of how things can go right for King, and it's not what could be happening every single fight, or is that fairly guaranteed?
It's definitely not guaranteed. They had a very good team fight coming through there. It was a good teleport. At a certain point, as soon as Kog'Maw is able to pick up maybe his next item, he's just going to completely shred through the Maokai. He's getting levels into all of his abilities as well. Of course, will be able to shred through a lot of the armor with the Q, as well as the Last Whisper that's coming through. And it's really about Insect being able to level up the ability to be able to make him attack a lot quicker. Blood Boil is level 4, so 1 more level and Name probably isn't exactly where he wants to be in the game. And we talk about how devastating late game Kog'Maw is against maybe a single tank threat in really Sky. MLXG is pretty tanky, but isn't a genuine threat in his face. He's just going to be able to rip through the team. So it's still definitely Royal Club's team fight in the late game, off the back of the fact that they've got a very strong pick composition, as well as that Kog'Maw.
Yeah, Sapling's going to get thrown around here as Royal Club witness the rebirth of the Baron. We do have a pink ward towards this top side of the map. You can see Wave pushing in that bottom side as well in favor of Royal Club. So someone's going to have to deal with that. Sky without his teleport is the option that they're sending down there. And the Godlike just going to try and find himself a chicken here to help him out with his gold situation. Has managed to finally pick himself up a kill and Zhonya's Hourglass as well, which is very, very important. Assassin going for the Black Cleaver here as his first option. So interesting.
Yeah, so going for the Black Cleaver, more of the team fight utility coming through, wants to make sure that he can set up some kills for Wushin. And Sky in the bottom lane goes to deal with that massive creep wave. And this is Dragon number 4 for Royal Club. Zero is a little bit low, but still look to be in a better position to contest. Looks like the response from King, get position over the Baron area.
Yeah, are they just going to do it though? MLXG, they are going to be able to clear out this pink ward, and is it going to mean the Baron straight away? No, it's not. Dragon does go down. The 4th of the game here for Royal Club. None in answer from King. They're getting shut out.
And now they started up. This is very dangerous out of King. Royal Club know exactly what's going on. They need to run straight away.
Yeah, but, I mean, they do have the Ren stacks on that one, but of course, oh my goodness, that equalizer was absolutely insane. Nice locket of the Iron Solari from Liam to help them get out as Insect. He's going to get slowed down. Glacial Fissure, there's the face
He's got
call.
Flash. Insect's going for the flank. This fight is not over.
He's looking for something. Sky's around the back here as well, though, trying to be that big tree to get annoying, and King, they still not out of the woods yet as Korn does manage to miss that Orbit Deception, but Wushin going down incredibly low, trying to dance around this fight. Insect still rocketing through there, but he finally does die. And Royal Club able to turn this one around. 4 members dead. And what was that Baron call?
That was an absolute mismatch of horrible plays coming out of King. First of all, they go for a Baron. About 10 seconds after Royal Club had finished the Dragon, they were already in mid lane when they started hitting that. And then they had a completely shutout if they just left the Baron pit straight upwards, but they choose to walk through lane and try and get a flank with Sky, who just got obliterated when he tried to come in. So that was a really poor play coming through from King, and it's cost them a Baron. And that gold lead that they started to claw back, now 5,000 gold away.
Yeah, still 5,000 at 30 minutes. It's not over here for King, but if they keep making decisions like that, things are looking awful on the Rift. You know, never can count a team out. And they have managed to go back and pick up some more items. Frozen Heart to come through here for Sky. Does have that Righteous Glory available as well. And Zeal on top of the rest of the bevy of items that Wushin had. And you can see probably needs that QSS sooner than later in order to deal with the fact that his attack speed was so slow. He just looked like a regular AD carry. Wasn't able to dance around that fight at all as Korn. There's the Empowered Recall. Doesn't manage to survive from that one. There's the Death Mark to come down here at the same time. Going to have to use that on his if he wants to avoid that damage, but doesn't actually have to because, of course, he might actually be able to go for the 1v1 here. Of course, able to close so much distance. Sky getting caught by a Dark Binding as MLXG. He comes around. Twisted Advance locks down the Foxy Lady, and she is going to eventually die. The blue buff is going to be the trade, though, here for Royal Club.
But they used so much for it. They used the Lee Sin ultimate. They used Assassin's ultimate. That now they're not in a position to be able to fight any further. They lose the blue buff. They get a kill, but the push still continuing in through from Royal Club.
Yeah, King, are they going to be able to defend this inner turret? Name is just doing so much damage. That is ridiculous. The zoning absolute zero to come through from Insect. There's the equalizer as well. Clears out the wave. Doesn't do too much else, but Sky is just so dead. Insect taking a lot of damage here as well as Liam taken down very, very low. Wushin trying to dance around this fight. Name just flashes forward. Insta-kills him. That last auto attack almost was enough. Flame Spitter. Godlike's got something to prove because this King lineup has not been kind to him. The exhaust comes through. Triple kill for Name. You have to think that this might be the game.
And that was a 4v5 with Korn dead. Korn is 7-2-7 and his team still able to run away with the win. What a team fight coming out of Aname there. Insect had a great game on Nunu and can't go past 0. 1-0-19.
Yeah, he's 20 out of 24 as far as that kill participation is concerned. That is a gigantic performance. The Nexus now down at half health. And it looks like Star and Royal Club are going to be able to take this game. Although Lamb was trying his very best to do as much damage as he could. And Royal Club, they tie it up. And it's going to be a 1-1.
Yeah, so we said either team would probably want to go 2-0 on this one. The playoff race stays exactly where it was. 8th versus 9th, not going to move. And Royal Club probably disappointed in the output. Although Game 2 looked much cleaner.
Oh, it certainly did. And I think what we've done here is just had a little bit of an experiment. We've had a look at Name and we've said, okay, yeah, he plays a lot of hyper carries, really great at the late game. Now we've demonstrated that was his Corki game beforehand and now on Cogmore. And you can see it's night and day. That was beautiful.
Yeah, it certainly was a very good game too coming out of Name. Accelerated Korn through the early game. Also had a very good game. But for me, it's how they played the supportive style one more time. They went back to a very supportive jungler, back to a supportive support, and we're able to really use that to get Name going into the late game.
Yeah, but ladies and gentlemen, there is still so much more LPL to come. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back just after this short break.